Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to NFL Talks. Ox Fox and Mike King Biz here. Really quickly, Deon Fox, Ken Oxendine here. It's a special session of the program. Deon Fox, really quickly, let people know who you are.
Deon Fox, Meadowbrook High School graduate here in the Richmond, Virginia, Chesterfield area. Went to James Madison University, founder and president of 5756 Foundation, president of NFL Alumni Richmond. You can find me there at 5756foundation.org, Deon.Fox at NFLalumni.org, or Mr. Fox 57 at 5756foundation.org.
All right, Ken Oxendine.
Ken Oxendine, Chester, Virginia, Thomas Dale, Virginia Tech, Atlanta Falcons, Box Sports Group's founder, Box SG on Instagram, vice president of NFL Richmond Alumni, and Box Sports Group connecting the dots. All things Ken Oxendine. You can find me out there on the social media.
All righty, gentlemen, the reason that we're here today, Monday Night Football, the injury to Damar Hamlin. Really quickly, thoughts right off the bat, Deon Fox, we're going to start with you.
In all my years of playing ball, I've never actually seen something like that take place. Looks like a regular football play. Wide receiver catches the ball, safety comes up, tackle's made, DB stands up, takes 2 steps, collapses, and then doesn't get back up. I've never seen something like that in a game. I've never seen something like that happen. I've seen some devastating hits. I've seen guys get up after concussions and pass out. I've seen guys get up like that, and it's because maybe a shoulder, a knee, or something, and they go back to the ground, but never just collapse lifeless on the ground. And it hit home with me, and I think I watched the coverage of it to see how the young man was doing up until I fell asleep last night. It went from being on ABC and ESPN until the news came on ABC last night, and then I switched to ESPN to finish watching the coverage, listening to different guys talking about it. And I woke up this morning watching it, and it's actually on right now. Basically, it's recapping the stuff that I saw last night, but they brought up some other interesting instances that has actually happened on the football field where the game has continued. I'm glad that the game did not continue. I'm glad that the NFL humanized themselves last night and did not let the game continue and let these guys go check on their teammate, their brother. And it's very true. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna let Ken talk. It's very true. Is you may not go out or hang out with everybody on your football team. You may not talk to them every single day outside of the facility, outside of playing a game. However, you all have one common goal. And when you line up and you put that uniform on, y'all are the best of friends. It's like a band of brothers. Y'all are out there because you have one common goal. That's to win that game, to be successful, and come together for a victory, you know? And so when one of you go down, it doesn't matter what your relationship is outside of the facility, where there's just, hey, what's up? Or you guys are hanging out and having dinner together. You guys are close when it comes to playing that game. It's a brotherhood that only that 1% that make it to the league knows. Okay, out of all the people in the world, it's about 1% or less that make it into the NFL, and only that 1% will know what it's like to be a part of that fraternal brotherhood of the NFL. With you know, with being like teammates.
On Mike King Biz Radio here with Deon Fox, Ken Oxendine, talking about the injury last night to Damar Hamlin on NFL on the Monday night game. It was the Bills and the Bengals. and it just played out in front of everybody's eyes. It went from being a football story to a everyone story. Thoughts, Ken Oxendine?
It's devastating. Just like Dion said, I've seen people, I've seen guys go down and go down to one knee, those types of situations. But to see someone stand up and then collapse lifelessly, especially when you look at the hit that he took, it wasn't one of those hits where you look at, if you've seen in the past, where it's been a concussion, a broken leg, a knee, or something to that extent, where you still see, um, you know, movement, or movement within 10 to 20 minutes. They rushed out, and luckily, those paramedics, those individuals that were on the scene, they knew what was going on. I don't know if it was one of the players that recognized or one of the umpires that recognized what was going on. But for those things to happen that quickly, because you never know when you have cardiac arrest, you never know what actually, how fast it can affect somebody. And I'm just glad that they had people on the scene. Hopefully, it sounds like through the social media and what I've seen so far that he's in critical, but I guess some type of stable condition. I'm assuming that's what, but it's been some confusing, conflicting parts that come out. But it's one of those things where you as a player understand the magnitude of every game could be your last game, could be your last play. And as the only thing that I see, and you saw the emotion in the speechlessness of Booger McFarland and those individuals that was in-house. That's the one thing that really threw me for a loop, was that they were more speechless than they were being able to talk about the situation, and not wanting to carry on, and speculate information, but still, I think in that sense, that group of individuals being able to also just calm down the audience. It seems like they were more speechless. They were in shock at seeing that, than versus when you look at Jeff, what's his name, the player that was the announcer that came on at the end of that show, usually does the Monday night part, where he spoke on and was a reporter of the information versus being more, and that's where you see the humanization of the reporters. Where a lot of times you see them being, question, critical. In that sense, they were speechless, and so you saw the humanization of it. And it's one of those things where we hope that it's never happened. We see guys that go down, and there it is. For me, I'm just like, wow, And after the fact of seeing it, I remember, just you saw the blow to the chest, and that's the only thing I can think of, is that you saw the blow to chest, and that if there's nothing else that is going on with him physically, it looked like, from a standpoint of him, the blow that he took may have been the onset of what caused that possibly could have caused the cardiac arrest.
There you go. This is NFL Talks, Ox and Fox. Mike Kigbiz here. This is part of the ESPN network of Mike Kigbiz Radio. Dion Fox, let's talk about when everyone was on the field. For these are two guys who played in the league. Let's go back and talk about, what do you think was the locker room was like when they went back into the locker room?
It was a lot of concern, solemnness, praying going on, banding together. The fact that they built the wall on the field to guard their brother when they were working on him. They had to cut his uniform off of him, cut the shoulder pads off of him, stabilize him on the field. That all this is going on. So his teammates rallied around, and they built like a little circle around him so nobody else could see what was going on, and half of them could not take seeing the sights of what was going on and him being treated. Like Ken said, you saw the emotions on the sideline. You know, you have grown men that have been conditioned to be tough, to get up, to play, to not show any type of emotion other than being able to go through injury and being hurt or getting knocked down and getting back up, and like gladiators out there in the field, you know, modern day gladiators, you know, who can hit the hardest, who can do this, but never in a million years do you think of somebody, you know, out here doing what they're doing and get hit and not be able to continue the game in a standpoint of collapsing lifeless on the field. Um, I can said I looked at the hit. They didn't show it much. They replayed it a few times, and I looked at it, and it looked like a regular football play. But where he got hit in the chest area, you know, is some freakish things that happen on that football field. Your body is contorted certain ways when you go in to make tackles or when you're getting tackled, when you're throwing blocks or getting blocked, and then you uh, have a reaction to whatever that trauma was to your body after getting that hit. And you know, that young man, I guess it set in a few seconds later after he stood up because he's thinking, okay, I'm gonna get up. He adjusted his helmet, and then all of a sudden, boom, he's back on the ground on his back.
Yeah.
The reaction time was great with the medical staff, athletic training staff, and the medical staff that was in house. And I'm glad that the hospital was only you know, about 2 miles away from the stadium, so that man could hurry up and get the medical attention that he needed faster than him having to travel across the city, across town.
There you go. NFL alumni Ken Oxendine, Deon Fox here, giving us some insight into the Damar Hamlin injury last night that we all witnessed. The whole time my wife was saying, I sure hope his family, you know, if I'm the mom, if I'm the wife, I'm on the way there with them. So Ox, let's talk about what do you think that process was like? He goes down on the field as a former player. What do you think? Like, what was that process like to get them down to the field?
You know, it's one of those parts and pieces where now, because it's very similar to when you think about from little league all the way up. You're in the stadium. You're in the stadium in the stands. You see that your loved one is on the ground, and a lot of times what you will see, because I've had a player that had he had uh, uh, a compound fracture, you know, and so his parent, he went down, and that whole situation where, you know, we observed what's going on, our trainers checked him out, and then we got him squared away, and then we motioned for his parents to come to the field. So there was probably a process of where either that parent, that, if I understand, his mom was there, came down, one of his friends or someone probably also knew that they were there, or either she came down to the banister, to the sideline railing, and said, "Hey, that's my son," and so they got her down to the field. But those are those parts and those pieces where, you know, the other people, that team bondment that you have, especially him being from Pittsburgh. He's probably was from that area, playing at Pittsburgh. He probably was from that area that wasn't that far, and so his family was able to get there. But it's one of those things where you're like, oh my goodness, you know, you're trying to, because that's the biggest thing from a coaching standpoint. When I was coaching, is okay, you know, making sure that the kids, in this sense, he wasn't, but getting someone down there also that could either console them or be able to help them at the time of movement, and being able, when he wake up or he's at a place that they can get, he has a recognizable face, as well as probably the coach probably went over there after as well to see him, to help him, guide him through this process as as well if he wakes up or whatever that process looks like.
On the mic, Mike King here, De'Aaron Fox, Ken Oxendine. Really quickly, as we get ready to wrap up, one thing, so as everybody knows, I'm always talking business. The NFL, the players, whether they had pushed the envelope or whatever, business took a back seat last night. That business was not going to happen. And for when, just from the strictly the business side, with that injury, a lot of things. So a lot of people were talking about the injury side, but there's a whole lot of business talk going on because we had a game that was stopped, and no one had ever seen that before. De'Aaron Fox, let's talk a little bit about the business side of what happened last night, and what do you think the impact it's going to have?
It's going to have a huge impact because that game had a huge impact as well on standings and who was leading what or whatever. But at that point, the game didn't matter. The standing didn't matter. Playing it and finishing it, whatever, didn't matter at that moment. And the fact that the NFL eventually suspended the game, I believe it was an hour and maybe 5 minutes after the fact, they suspended it, until further notice. Was a good move because none of those men on either side of that field were in a mental state to be able to finish that game. We don't know what type of mental state they're in today, especially his teammates. You have to understand, regardless of what side of the field that you're on, you see this happen to a guy and you think to yourself, that could have been me.
And Dion, right quick, let me interject real quick. Because you remember when Napoleon McCallum blew his knee out from the horse collar?
Yeah.
Well, watching that game, we had a Thursday night game. It was Monday night. I remember myself when I saw that happen, it affected me in that the way I ran in the game. We had a game, this was out in college. It affected me when I was in the game because I thought as soon as someone grabbed me from the back. So when you think of that mental state of what those guys going back on, that, like you said, those guys, it was gonna be, it was gonna take a toll.
Awesome. Fox here. This is NFL Talks. Gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for coming on. We're gonna, keep the family in the prayers. We're gonna talk to Samar Lemons, who is our friend, a high schooler who was injured playing football at Henrico High School here in Richmond. We're gonna talk to his mom about, how she looked at it from that standpoint as a parent, as a loved one, and we're going to get her insight. We're going to talk to Samar as well to get his insight of what happened and his thoughts on it. I remember when we talked to his mom and they had told her son wouldn't move again, and when he started moving, and De'Aaron Fox and Ken Oxendine have been great with my man Samar. Mom said only had 2 words for you. I told you he would move again, and it's the power of prayer. So we're going to keep that in mind with everyone who's affected here. So De'Aaron Fox, very quickly, how can people find you out there once again?
De'Aaron.Fox at NFLalumni.org. Mr. Fox 57 at 5756foundation.org. 5756foundation.org is the website. Go on, contact me. And Mr. Fox 57 at gmail.com. I'm out there, reach out, always doing stuff in the community, and just giving back, paying it forward. That's what it's about.
There you go. Ken Oxendine.
All things Ken Oxendine on the net, boxsportsgroup.com, BoxSG on Instagram, Ken Oxendine at alumni at NFLalumni.com. Continuously connecting the dots in the community and helping those that can't help themselves.
One of the things on the mic, Mike King here. You can follow me on all social platforms, Mike King Biz, as well as on the mic with Mike RVA. I want to get these gentlemen in as alumni who played the game and get their unique perspective on it. That's what we do here. We talk to folks who are out there making a difference. And one of the things is I always talk to these guys about hometown guys make good who come back and make a difference. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining us on the mic with Mike, De'Aaron Fox, Ken Oxendine, NFL Talks.
Hey, prayers to Damar Hamlin.
Damar Hamlin.
Prayers to Damar Hamlin, his family, Buffalo Bills organization, and those guys that were affected by this. I hope they're able to get some help with their mental state to help them. And I pray that Damar, for him to make it through this all right, and his family to be able to stay strong enough to keep their mind straight, during this process. I can't imagine what it's like to go through that, but at the same time, I have children myself, so I know. So prayers to everybody that's affected by this, and that saw this and that's dealing with this at this moment.
As you say,
No
it's a
doubt.
brotherhood. It is a brotherhood. So thank you, gentlemen. Take care.
All right, you too.
Take care. Bye.